We be like Jay-Z and Beyonce. I be your Kim K, you're my Kanye. I hope it's not too much when we go public, but I wanna.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your new favorite astrologer, Nakia Maria. And as I promised in my first video that I did on DaniLeigh, that I was going to come back and do a Synastry chart reading on her and the baby, since they are such a hot topic right now in the blogs. And he just celebrated a birthday, and she celebrated a birthday 2 days before he did. So they so happy and enjoying life. So let's just see what they got going on. So far, so good. It's new to us, but it's old to them, y'all, because they ain't just get started, it's just went public. So let's be clear on that. So that was sidebar. But again, here we go with our first Synastry reading on DaniLeigh and the baby. As you can see, I've already pulled the chart. This chart was pulled from Astro.com. If you're interested in going on pulling your own chart or pulling Synastry charts, I use it all the time to pull mine. DaniLeigh's planets are located on the outside of the circle, in red, and the baby's planets are located in blue. For those people who are new to astrology, a Synastry reading is basically like a relationship astrology reading where you compare two birth charts and you take their placements and see how two people would be astrologically compatible in order to determine the potential weaknesses or strengths in their relationship. So we got DaniLeigh and the baby. Dani was born on December 20th, 1994. And as I stated, she's in the red. Her planets are in the red. The baby was born December 22nd, 1991. And again, his planets are in blue. Now, since this is a Synastry reading, I'm not going to focus so much on their sun signs. Dani is a Sagittarius. The baby is a Capricorn. But if you notice, their birthdays are very, very close together, which makes Dani a late degree Sag. Her sun is at 28 degrees, and his sun is at 0 degrees Capricorn. So they are both on that cusp. So normally I wouldn't recommend a Sagittarius or Capricorn, like just initially looking at sun signs, which I don't recommend doing. But if you would just take like, a Sagittarius and a Capricorn, on the outside, they may appear different and people would be like, what are they doing together? Oh, why would she like him? Or why would he like her? They seem so opposite, But that's why we look further into the chart, because in this particular case, and like other cases, they have a lot of similarities despite their sun signs. You have that Sagittarius, expansive Jupiter energy, fun-loving. You can tell she does have a lighter energy than the baby. If you even look at their pictures without being biased, without knowing neither one of them or hearing their music, she does have that more lighter, fun side to her. And the baby comes off more serious, but warm. But we'll get into why he seems a little bit more warm, because he has that smile and he is very nice to his fans and everything, but he does come off like he's about his money, which is straight Capricorn, especially the man, and he's working and he's directing now. So yeah, that's more to his Capricorn sun. But as I mentioned before, since it's a Synastry reading, I don't want to focus so much on their suns. I want to look more into depth into their charts, more into the moon, the Venus, and the Mars, and then some of their aspects that they have in common as well. So let's start with the moon first. They both have Cancer moons. Which is very interesting. Like I say, on the outside, people may think that they are very different, but when you get to know a person, and that's what that moon sign is when you get to know a person, how they are when they're comfortable, when they're normally home. The moon sign is what someone's family would normally see the characteristics of a person. For instance, their family will see them more as a Cancer, because that's how they are. Those are the characteristics that they show when they're comfortable around the people that they love. So with that being said, both of them have Cancer moons, which to me, automatically, with the moon being in his home sign in Cancer, they feel at home together, comfortable having the same moon signs. They feel comfortable together. They both react similar in the same way because the moon is based on how you react. So they both probably react emotionally initially. They both tend to have close relationships with their family, which I presented online, that they take care of their families. Just recently, the baby took his niece on a birthday trip. Child, I ain't even been on no trip like that, and I'm almost 35 years old. And I know that he did that out of love for his brother as well. But that, just like I say, love for his family. So that was beautiful. So that speaks on the baby's Cancer moon. And Danny, as I mentioned in her reading, she had just bought the house, and I had it wrong. I said Miami. It was in the Dominican Republic where she bought her family a home, and she keeps her family around her. Like I see videos of her sister, and things like that. So you can tell that they both are in to their family and really love their families and to nurturing those relationships. So with the baby, the moon would represent in a man's chart the wife, the woman that he would be attracted to outside of his Venus, but more so the qualities that he would look for in his wife or the woman that he would want to marry. And since we know Danny also has a Cancer moon, she already possessed that nurturing, protective, mothering nature, that those characteristics that he will look for in a woman and that he also has within himself. So that's automatically attractive to him. Emotionally, they understand each other because Cancer is that sign that you don't have to say much, or they don't want you to say too much. They just want you to just intuitively know what's going on. So maybe they have this intuitive relationship going on where they feel what each other feels. Like they really feel each other on an emotional level and a deep level because they have that Venus and Scorpio as well, which we're going to go more into once we move on from the moon. But this water energy, water runs deep, so their feelings run deep. And I'm sure in this relationship, sorry, that's my computer, that their feelings for each other run deep. And no wonder Homegirl made the whole album about him. And if you listen to her new CD movie, it pretty much explains his relationship to the T. So when I was reading, looking at their charts and playing her music, I can totally understand and see in her songs, in her lyrics, how she feels about him and why it's so intense. And it's funny that she even named the album movie, which is about their relationship, because they have Neptune. Both of them have Neptune conjunct each other, which is another conjunction that they have in their chart, which opposes both of their moons in their charts individually. And Neptune can also represent like Hollywood and things like that, movies, because movies create illusion. So with that Neptune being in contact with their moons, that can create some kind of emotional delusion or emotional misunderstandings, especially in their relationships. And since they both have that aspect, that could definitely cause some issues. If they're both not self-aware, it can cause a lot of issues. Also, with that Neptune being in contact with the moon, Neptune can also create that fantasy, like that Disney fairy tale love. Like I met my Prince Charming on the queen of my life, or princess, I guess in his case, he could feel that way. But to me, just by looking at them, I feel as though she feels as though she met her Prince Charming. Even though I think that he does adore Danny's beauty very much so, and he believes she's a star, and he sees her as that as well. And I'm sure he gives her more of that in private, and she's more so the one more public about it, being that she's, a Sagittarius sun. And it's conjunct her Mercury, so she's going to share it with the world. It's probably on the internet like she does. So again, with that Neptune in contact with the moon, it can create a little bit of emotional confusion there. So my advice to both of them to be become self-aware, so that you become aware of what's going on in the relationship. It always starts with the self, so that's first and foremost. But that Neptune also being there can make them feel like the connection that they have is very karmic, and they can feel a lot of compassion towards each other. And unfortunately, though, it can put on those rose-colored glasses. Like I said, it causes a little delusion. So what you see might not be what you're getting. So in these relationships, you want to make sure what someone is saying to you is what they're doing, and vice versa. You say what you mean what you say, not, oh, you want to create that fantasy for someone and then it's all like crap. So with this type of intensity between, their moons being so emotionally connected, and that Cancer and that water sign, and then being in contact with Neptune, which Neptune is ruled by Pisces, which is a water sign, it's definitely a lot of depth in this relationship. I would say a lot of emotional connection, which can cause a lot of it could be like the biggest love of all, like the greatest love of all, or it can be like the worst love of all. Relationship from hell, especially with both of their Venus being in Scorpio. This could be a great relationship, very powerful. They could become a powerful couple with that Venus being in Scorpio, both of them having that conjunction, or it could be a relationship from hell. But I'll touch more on that Venus being in Scorpio shortly. Really quickly, again with that Neptune, it being in a hard aspect to their moons, being opposite to the moon, it could be hard to set, boundaries in your relationships. So you want to be mindful of that. And also that it could be emotionally addictive. That's what I'm trying to say. Because Neptune can represent addictions as well. And the moon is your emotions. So this relationship can be emotionally addictive. So they have to be mindful of that. That is just my advice. When you look at that place, it's intense. And I know people are probably looking at them in the blogs like this is just for show. They just want to be seen and they just want to make the shade room. But this thing is deep, y'all. Like I said, she made a whole CD about it, and I'm not promoting nobody's album, but this chart made it made a lot of sense once, when I listened to it, because homegirl is very emotionally invested in him, very, very emotionally invested in this man. And like I said, I can only say because she expresses it more openly than he does. But just by looking at his placements, he expresses this stuff to her when they're in private. He probably whispers all types of sweet nothings in her ear, and is probably possessive or obsessed with her on some level as well because of their placements. But that Neptune can also make them feel like, they met the ideal partner, and also feel each other on a very soulful level. But it could make make your feelings very hard to express too, because with that Neptune energy, it's hard to put your feelings into words. You just feel it, on a level. Sometimes it's more of a spiritual thing, not so much logical. So it's hard to express for words. So I would honestly, if I had to give them advice, was be mindful of that. Since they both have it individually in their chart, it can be very easy for them to misread each other's signals. Even though they feel intuitively connected, it can still hit or miss sometimes. Okay, so be clear with each other, be honest, because that could be an issue. Neptune can create some illusions, lies, and deception. So be honest about how you feel. Be realistic about how you feel. Don't use your relationship to escape, or like some people may feel, and as I don't have proof, that he runs to Danny when he has issues with other women, like his baby mother. So hopefully that is not the case, where this relationship would play out as a form of escapism for him, to avoid his other responsibilities or other things in his reality. Not saying he's not responsible, because I know he takes care of his kids. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying other things that he might not want to focus on that would cause him to be more responsible, more accountable. This relationship for him may be more fun. They can have, like I say, they enjoy the same things, but their Venus being in the same sign, they are comfortable with each other with their moons being in the same signs. But with that Neptune opposing their moons, we got to determine here, or they would need to determine how realistic this relationship is, or is it just, here for the moment, or is it something that is going to be long lasting, or eventually when those rose-colored glasses come off, is it going to be disappointing? And and who would be hurt in the end, or who would be the most disappointed, because I feel like they both would get their feelings hurt with those Cancer moons, and be emotionally disappointed in a relationship. Now, he has his Mars in Sagittarius, and so he'll probably get over it faster than she would with that Mars in Virgo. She'll probably, probably wonder why and go over it, what caused it, what did I do wrong, and go over the details of what happened in a relationship, while he'll be on to the next with that Sagittarius energy. And it's conjunct his Mercury, which makes him very impulsive. He probably could be aggressive when they talk. So maybe in their relationship, if they get in arguments, they could have very intense arguments, because his Mercury is conjunct his Mars, and her Mercury is conjunct her Sun, and those are both fiery. Mars is a fiery planet, and the Sun is also represented by a fire sign, which is Leo, which is it's about them as well. So both signs in their own way is about me, because Leo's like the attention, and Aries is as I am. So when it comes to their arguments, I'm sure they can be very, very opinionated, also because they have that Sagittarius energy. And I don't know if you ever argue with a Sag, but they do love to debate. So their arguments can probably go on and on, debate, and they're gonna have some probably hard what's the words? Arguments on both sides, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing that. And then with his Mars being in such a close conjunction with his Mercury, he could be really quick with the tongue. Now, he might say some things that are mean, very aggressive with the words, as I mentioned before. So, yeah, he probably cuts hard with that tongue. So he might want to watch that mouth. But it's also good for him as far as rapping, because he's able to think of things and come up quick, and he's able to express that through his music as well. So I think that's good. But the mouth is mighty. I mean, that tongue is mighty and quick. So he could definitely come off rude or sarcastic and witty, and like I said, very opinionated, and like to express his ideas and be aggressive about those opinions. So shut everybody else's down. I don't care. No, this is what it is. This is what I believe. This is right. Being that it's in Sag, I believe, the sign of I believe. So what he believes is right, and he's actually what he thinks is right. He's going to go ahead and do. So when it comes to that Mars being in Sagittarius and Mars representing sex, he might logically find some logical reason if he does cheat for be able to try to logically explain his reasons for cheating. Let's just say that. But I'll leave that alone, and we'll move on to some other things. But one more thing. That Mars and Mercury show when he hit that one up in the face with his cell phone, or with her cell phone, when she tried to take the picture of him up in the club. But this ain't his personal reading, but he might want to calm down. But that Mars conjunct that Mercury can explain his temper there. But when I speak on their similarities, they have a lot of things in common in the chart. But when we look at their Mars, which I was just mentioning, those Mars actually square. And the Mars in a chart, Mars is pretty much what motivates you, what drives you individually. And it also, since we're doing synastry, it represents a sex drive. So sexually, they might have a conflict. Now, they both have their Venus and Scorpio, which again, I know we're going to get to it, but Venus, Scorpio is a very sexual sign, very intimate sign, as we know. Everybody thinks Scorpios is all about, sex, but that's not always the case. It's actually definitely deeper than just sex is what the sex represents. Sex is like a style of communication for someone with Scorpio energy, Scorpio placements. Sex is one of the the deepest ways to connect to a person. It's not just about, a Taurus can see it as, let me just, it's like a physical activity, but for Scorpio, sex is on a whole nother level. It runs deeper. I say Scorpio is a water sign, so it is emotionally involved. They get into the depths of your soul, not just in your pants. Sex is like, I'm diving into the depths of you. I'm going to get to know you in ways you can't even express to me. That's how deep we're going. And yeah, so it's not, and it could be about power too. Sex can be used as a form to gain power over somebody or some kind of control if used in a negative way. But normally it's just really just a way to intensely connect to somebody without, like I say, Taurus is more so just, doing the act, and, it's pleasurable, trust me, because, Taurus will use all five senses to get you going and everything. It's deep too. It's passionate, but it's also more of like a physical activity because, Taurus rules more of the body, but Scorpio includes more of your mind. And I think their connection definitely is more mental and emotional versus physical, because we can see, like, with their Mars, the sexual compatibility is a little challenged versus how they know each other on an emotional level. Not saying they're not pleased, because I'm not in the bedroom with them at all, but just looking at the astrology again, there could be some conflict there. And like I say, it could come from his side as far as just his Mars being in that sign of Sag, where he may find a need to have more freedom sexually than she needs, of course, because with Virgo, with having that Mars in Virgo, you're very attentive to your sexual partner, and it's hard to be attentive to a lot of people. And typically, a Virgo Mars placement person would strive to be perfect for their partner in the bedroom. Like I say, very attentive. They want to do what their partner likes. They want to serve. They want to, they could even sometimes be like a sex slave. I'm not calling Danny a sex slave, but they could be, like I say, it could be like that 50 Shades of Grey, like that girl in 50 Shades of Grey. She probably may have Mars in a Mars in Virgo. Lord, geez, got tongue tied there. But that's the type of situation I would think when I think of Mars in Virgo, like the 50 Shades of Grey girl with, with the twisted fantasies and things, like, even in her song, she said, "With baby say go, I won't say no. I don't want to be on my own." Okay, with baby say go, I won't say no. So there you go. I don't know, but Virgo and Mars is definitely a lady in the streets freaking the bed. So do you, Dan, and I hope y'all work out any kinks. Like I said, with that square, but we're gonna move on to the Venus because this is getting kind of long. So they have that Mars, those Mars squaring each other, but the Venus conjunct each other in Scorpio, and we touched on that Scorpio energy. So with it being with their Venus, or their Venus being in Scorpio, they have similar taste in a lot of things, probably like common taste in like music and things they like to do, hobbies. One thing I do notice, to take it back to that moon with Cancers have good taste in music. So they both have that moon there. So they probably be vibing out to some good playlists. And then they both are musicians too. So they probably have like the same music. I would probably say that. Or introduce each other to new music and things like that. I love Cancers for that. So with that Venus being in Scorpio, that gives them, again, that same intense, emotional, deep connection. Scorpio, it could have been a sexual relationship maybe at first, I don't know, or could have started out sexual on that level. Or they have been very sexually attracted to each other initially. So that's one thing that could have came along with it. But it also kind of speaks to the fact that we didn't know too much about DaniLeigh and the baby's relationship. We were only hearing about the baby mother, because Scorpio can also be mysterious and it could be secretive. So this relationship was hidden for some time. But now we know that he has showed the world that they are together, and she's very excited about that. So, but also when I think about it, a lot of people didn't even know he was with Mimi at first, or I believe it was a surprise to know that he was married or in a committed relationship the whole time. Mimi kind of came out of nowhere, if I'm not mistaken. But with his Pluto conjunct his Venus, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't like to hide his relationships a little bit, or at least be in control when it comes to his relationship, or be the one in power. And if with that Pluto conjuncting his Venus and his Venus conjuncting her Venus, in this particular relationship, being that he is the one with the Pluto placement, I would say that the baby is the one calling the shots in this relationship, or taking, control of the relationship. Like when he was ready to show her to the world, he did. I think it was definitely on his call, because if she wanted to show him, if she could have showed him when she wanted to, he would have already been posted, child. But he is the one controlling how they go about with this relationship and how much they put on the internet. But like I say, right now, he must have let homegirl live her life, because she has not stopped posting since she had her Venus return and it came back. So I guess that was him coming back to her love coming back. But child, I'm glad he gave it a go, because she couldn't be more excited. God bless her heart. But again, this is going long, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So just to sum up, the baby and DaniLeigh Synastry, overall, I would say that they are compatible, but also with having so many conjunctions, and it helps them have a lot in common. But at the same time, too many conjunctions can make people too similar. So that could definitely cause disharmonies, because, too much of anything isn't good. So too much of being alike can cause a lot of problems. I honestly don't want no one exactly like me. Nothing against myself, but I like people who are kind of opposite of me. It gives me something to balance and work off of. So, and normally polar opposites attract, two of the same don't always go together. So it could definitely cause some issues there, being too much alike. And then in areas where they differ, like when I mentioned the Mars, that could also cause some challenges. And there are also pros and cons to their placements that they have in common. Like that Cancer moon is intuitive and emotional, and they're comfortable with each other, but yet that can be very clingy if they're not careful. That Venus and Scorpio, having that in common is cool, because I'm sure they connect on a deeper level and have a lot of things in common again. But yet that Venus and Scorpio can be possessive, obsessive, controlling, and intense to the point where it can cause a lot of chaos and confusion, and take your ass through the fire, and you better pray you come out like the phoenix, okay? Because that's what normally represented with that Scorpio energy. So with their intense emotional connection and how they feel, so in awe with each other, that Neptune, it's like they're in their own little world probably, and it's hard to break out of it when they're together. It's probably, when them two, it's just they're in their own little world. And challenges aren't necessarily bad, but like when you experience challenges as an individual, it helps to build character. So challenges in a relationship would help to build that relationship and make it stronger. But in this relationship, if they allow lies, deception, secret relationships, or secrets in general affect their relationship, and also with that Neptune influence, which we mentioned earlier, there could be a lot of idolization. Again, going back to DaniLeigh CD, she calls him superstar. She references him as a superstar. That is idolization. I wouldn't recommend that over idolizing anyone, especially your partner, because that could put them in a godly position, or a position that seems higher than you, that you're just constantly like kind of looking up and like, in awe of this person, like, constantly putting them on a pedestal. And I don't think that's healthy necessarily in a relationship. You should admire your partner, love them to death, and look at them with, happy to, look up to them and look at them, but you should not idolize. I don't think idolizing any humans is good, to be honest. So that would be something that I would say, especially with that opposing their moon, the misunderstandings, emotional misunderstandings could play a part. So definitely work on your communication. Again, honesty, building that trust, because I'm sure that is a issue here, especially knowing the history of the relationship with the other woman. So good luck to you guys. Danny and the baby. I'm sure I didn't touch on every single thing. Astrology can be so detailed and so lengthy. That was just a few things that popped out to me. If you noticed anything that I didn't notice, feel free to comment on the video. I appreciate any feedback, positive. Don't be negative up on here, because you will get deleted. But thanks again for watching. I'll have more videos for you. This is DaniLeigh and the baby Synastry. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be great to yourself so you could be good to others. Peace.